The Snow White remake is in danger of failing. This drama is intensifying quickly, with a $5 million event being cancelled and a huge resentment amongst the stars. Gal Gadot's recent alteration of Rachel's Zegler will wow you. Discover the startling reality that Disney doesn't want you to know by staying put. Now, everyone, the countdown has begun. The highly anticipated live-action Snow White remake from Disney is just a few days away from being released, and it appears that the studio is about to recognize the grave error they have made. The original story from the Brothers Grimm and the well-loved 1937 animated masterpiece were discarded in favor of a politically motivated narrative, and Rachel Zegler was placed in the starring role. This shift, which aims to save society and represent actual events, is just uninteresting to many viewers, particularly families. In addition, the film's main characters, Rachel Zegler as Snow White and Gal Gadot as the Evil Queen, are embroiled in a bitter and continuous feud. I assure you that the friction between these two is not merely a Hollywood rumor. Contrary to what you've been told, Gal and Rachel's problem is far more complex. In addition to the turbulence behind the scenes, Rachel's public remarks regarding her political beliefs also caused Gal to become irritated. A growing rift has resulted from this, and what is currently happening is genuinely unexpected. Gal just took a daring and surprising move that demonstrates the depth of their rivalry. Let's have a look at it. It's obvious that things are only going to get worse, even though Snow White 2025 is already looking like a possible box office bust. The Walt Disney Company and CEO Bob Iger have postponed a number of important events, and pre-ticket sales are disappointing. However, this is where things become even more intriguing. There is a fresh development in the story that includes both Gal and Rachel, despite the press tour and marketing effort being a complete failure. Before the movie came out, there was going to be a big performance where the two actresses would sing together on stage. Gal has now pressured Disney executives to completely scrap those ideas, though. Particularly not live on TV, she doesn't want to be close to Rachel. Not to be mistaken with the postponed event that was meant to include a solo performance by Rachel Zegler. The performance was actually supposed to happen at Disneyland, directly in front of the famous castle. It gets considerably messier from here. Gal Gadot has made it apparent to Disney management that she is not just personally insulted by Rachel's vocal opinions on social media, but that she also holds Rachel accountable for escalating tensions during their backstage Oscar appearance this year. Indeed, it was Gal's suggestion that during their live Oscars presentation, Rachel should not be mentioned at all. In order to prevent the public from believing that they are on good terms, she deliberately asked the Walt Disney Company to notify the Academy to record the exchange exactly as it occurred. This was followed by a quick decision by Bob Iger and the Disney executives to call off the full Disneyland event that was scheduled to include both actresses performing live on stage. The worst part is that Disney had already spent an incredible $5.2 million on the event, which was scheduled for the evening before the movie's March 20th formal release. Let me take a moment to explain everything, though. We already know that. Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot are not compatible, and this isn't simply a personal issue. Gal has been outspoken about how the entire marketing and press tour has been thrown off balance by Rachel's remarks about her nation and her contentious portrayal of Snow White. For a film of this size, with a budget exceeding $300 million, you have seen very little of Gal because she has actually tried to keep as far away from the press tour as possible. The fact is, Rachel is not nearly as recognizable as Gal. She has been in the public eye for years and is well known for playing Wonder Woman. Not surprisingly, given the high stakes of the movie, Gal would want to preserve her reputation. Realizing the growing outcry, Disney has essentially backed down, which is remarkable. They have sided with Gal, calling off events and withdrawing from significant marketing initiatives like the Disneyland and Times Square shows. The tension between the two actresses was further heightened by their awful Oscar presentation, in which they neither spoke or looked at each other. The fans noticed, and it was brutally clear. Gal is now praising Bob Iger for listening to her and avoiding Rachel Zegler, which is interesting. Gal was quite worried that being associated with Rachel would damage her reputation as an actor and a person, she said. Furthermore, Zegler's inflammatory political remarks concerning Gal's nation have only made her personal problems with him worse. And the consequences? As a result of the cancellation of several events that were planned to include both Gal and Rachel, the Disney board and executives are apparently very anxious at the moment. The projected $2.3 million in damages is astounding, as it was entirely squandered on a marketing campaign that has now gone awry due to the two actresses' escalating animosity. Gal has already expressed sorrow for ever taking on the Snow White project to her manager and agent. She alleges that both Greta Gerwig, the director, and Mark Webb, the writer, deceived her about the plot's direction and development. Zegler, meantime, is apparently upset with Gal for causing these high-profile events to be cancelled. Their animosity has now progressed from private arguments to a full-fledged conflict, with Disney supporting Gal over Rachel and Gal taking action. In a strange way, it almost makes you want to cheer for the Queen in the real movie, isn't it? It's an intriguing change. Although it's strange, the drama's overflow into the imaginary world adds to the situation's intrigue. Regarding the actual Snow White movie, I firmly believe that it will be Disney's worst failure to date. In contrast to The Little Mermaid, which at first glance appeared to do very well, we are now witnessing the extent of Disney's financial loss on that production after the actual figures were revealed. With Snow White, the failure will be painfully evident from the very beginning. Not only are pre-sales already doing terribly poorly, but Disney is also having further difficulties with Daredevil Reborn. Disney was hoping for higher viewership for the series, but the figures have fallen well short of their expectations. Although Daredevil Born Again is watchable and has its shortcomings, it's not necessarily a bad program. We'll have to wait and see how the remaining episodes play out. But for now, it's simply another challenge for Disney to overcome. When you take a step back and consider all of the behind-the-scenes activities around Snow White, it becomes evident that this movie is likely to be one of Disney's worst mistakes in recent memory. This project looks to be failing in every way, from the catastrophic press tour to the increasing friction between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. Whether it's the millions of dollars lost due to postponed events, the animosity between the main actresses, or the general criticism of the film's direction, it's safe to say that Disney is currently in major damage control mode. Given how poorly Snow White is doing even before its release, I believe Disney will soon realize how much of a mistake this film has been. However, that's only my perspective. I'd want to know what you think. What are your thoughts on all of the events surrounding Snow White? Is it too late? Or do you think Disney can still turn this around? And what about the whole issue between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot? Should we disregard this Hollywood quarrel, or is it a symptom of more serious issues? Click the subscribe button now if you like this video and want to be informed about all the newest news on Snow White, Disney's ongoing crisis, and more. We're about to reveal some tasty details that you won't want to miss. If you thought this video was interesting, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others. Please. Give this video a thumbs up and forward it to anybody you think may be interested in joining the discussion.